but Daddy, I Love Him, I kind of felt like that song was written for me. But Travis has proved himself. Hi, this is Luna Sommer. Today I'm gonna be moodboarding Taylor's wedding. I'm sure that everyone's heard about this by now. I am filming this like at least a week before I'm gonna post it. But the news was made 2 days ago. And I'm wearing my clunkiest ring that I have in my collection, which just happens to be my class ring. I wanted to wear it because I saw Taylor's and mucky see, mucky do, maybe, I don't know. I do want to preface this video by saying that I was totally not that girl that was ever on Pinterest planning dream weddings, dream whatevers. Like, that was not my personality. Being an events planner is probably the last job that I would want, or at least the last 10 jobs that I would want. It's in that group. I feel like that's way too stressful. And I'm not a person who really enjoys large gatherings a lot. I am an introvert. But I would do anything for Taylor. I mean, it's not like I've never used Pinterest. I've been on it casually. But I think the last time that I really used it consistently was like 2012. Speaking of Pinterest, I actually recently bought a little bit of stock in Pinterest. I'm not a financial advisor. That would also be in that 10 least favorable careers. You're looking at Pinterest's new partial fractional share holder. I have 0.28 of a share of Pinterest. I don't know how exactly I'm gonna do this, but I did want to show you like a mini mood board consisting of photos that I've taken because I love photography. I don't really get the chance to pursue it as much as I really want to, but I did do a mini mood board that was inspired by this week's news. I feel like my eyes look weird. It's because I've been spending way too much time on screens because it does relate to my job. For the venue itself, I was thinking green, a lot of greenery, like think Lover meets Folklore. I was thinking a lot of roses and daisies, but I'm also not a big green thumb. I'm not a flower person. Honestly, there's probably a lot more flower references in songs. I can think of at least 2 more that I'm not mentioning here. Mostly because I don't want to butcher the pronunciation of the names, even though I've listened to those songs like so many times. You would think that I would have learned at least what the flower was and how to pronounce it, but I'm just not interested in stuff like that, which is another reason why I should not be an event planner. Anyway, skipping to the cake, because honestly, the dress, I would be so lost at even trying to explain what's in my head about that. I think that it's gonna be spectacular and fantastical, and that's all I'm gonna say about the dress. This video was definitely an out-of-the-box concept for me. Okay, the cake. The main cake is gonna be white with red interior. The groom's cake is gonna be all out red and gold. And yes, that was the second take. I had to really make sure that those were the right color schemes. I mean, I knew it. I still don't watch football, even since last year, the year before that, whatever. So I had to like triple check my sources. I actually have no pictures of cake to show because I'm gluten-free and a lot of my baked goods, I mean, you can get them to taste good and have a good texture, or you can get them to look okay and be completely bland. So That's why there's no baked goods pictures with this photo shoot. Excuse any abrupt angle changes. My camera battery did just die. I had to replace it. Let's get back into planning this wedding that I'm probably completely unbased and wrong about. The music situation is going to be so complicated because Taylor has left such a big mark in the music industry that I feel like she'll either have none of her songs be in the ceremony or the after party, or she'll write a really sentimental song for this occasion and release it on the night of her wedding. Even more sentimental than timeless. I also really think that she's gonna release the happy songs from Reputation really soon. I honestly thought that it would be difficult for her to re-record the entire Reputation album just because I knew what a mental state she was in when she recorded the original one, and I felt like it would be very difficult for her to replicate the mood of being in that emotional state. While Taylor has acted in the past, I personally feel like her songs are more documentary work about her emotional state and her imagination than anything else. So I don't think that the emotional state that she was in when she originally recorded Reputation could be contrived and controlled that easily. And that's not a rip on her talent. That is an observation of the rawness and the realness of her art. But I do feel like when Reputation was happy, she could definitely re-release at least half of Reputation around the same time as her wedding, although we shouldn't be speculating on the date of her wedding. I think that that is intrusive. I also feel like her wedding is either going to be the biggest event of the year, or she's gonna elope some random time and have the smallest wedding ever, and either would be perfectly fine with me. Like, obviously, these are two very big celebrities. They should have their own agency about how their wedding's gonna go. They shouldn't be trying to serve the people or the paparazzi or social media. They should be focusing on their relationships and themselves. Recently, I have felt like I have experienced a revival of one of my first loves, which was photography. I mean, I knew ever since YouTube came out that I wanted to do something with cameras. I really wanted to be a YouTuber ever since I saw my first YouTube video. But I also have always loved photography. Not necessarily photographing people, although there are elements of fashion photography that I feel like I'll always love. I used to feel like social media was like the perfect frame for sharing photographs, but my opinion has changed on that, especially after Instagram released their Reels feature. I know it's been a few years, I understand, but social media just looks like a bunch of clones running around trying to replicate what they're seeing. I've never really loved trends on social media in general. I'm an INFP, I'm an individualist, I'm an Enneagram type 4, so what do you expect? I have always hated that aspect about TikTok. I want to bring back the uniqueness of social media in the early 2000s. Like, I'm thinking MySpace, when you actually had to import snippets of code to be able to customize your space. I don't think that social media is as customizable as it was back then, and obviously there's pros and cons to that. Social media has made it really easy to connect with people in one strain of thought we are all on the same playing field. We have the same space. It all looks the same. Kind of like physical phones these days. They all look the same. They're all just a screen. Whereas back in the day, every phone looked a little bit different. That's how I feel about social media. While everything has become so much easier to do and create on social media, it's also become a little bit soulless, which brings me to the sponsor of today's video, which is my domain name store. You can actually purchase domain names from me that you can use to personalize anything. It could be your Linktree. It could be a website where you display actual media in a way that you're in control of, so that media companies and big tech people don't necessarily have a say over what you post. If you wanted to move away from Pinterest, for example, and set up a website where you made all your own mood boards, you could do that with a domain. Obviously, for non-technical people, I do want to clarify that buying a domain is not the same thing as paying for a hosting plan to publish your website, but you could use pre-made hosting sites to a certain degree. Like, for example, you could name your Notion your own personalized domain name, or you could brand your leak in bio situation to make it more accurate to you. Personally, I am really thinking of different ways that I could share my photography, especially my photography where I'm not the subject. If you want to really be able to express yourself and be in control of everything and not have an account potentially get flagged for some reason, the best way to go for all of that would definitely be to own your own space in the internet without having to go through a commodification company that's gonna take 20% of whatever you make, especially if you're looking at paywall platforms. Anyway, that was kind of a mixed up ramble, but if you are interested in purchasing your own domain name to show off your photography, if that's something that you're interested in, or starting a blog and going back to the 2010s, then definitely be my guest. While I do believe that the internet should be accessible to everyone, a part of me misses when everything didn't look exactly the same. Coming back to today's video topic, I know that Taylor is gonna have an unusual wedding, no matter what size or how public it is. It's gonna be very on brand for Taylor. I'm gonna be very transparent with you guys that at first, I was not on board with this relationship, but Daddy, I Love Him, I kind of felt like that song was written for me. But Travis has proved himself, so I feel a lot differently about this relationship now than I did when it was announced. I'm just really happy that after so many heartbreak songs, Taylor has found a good relationship and that she didn't settle for anything less than what she wanted. I feel like if I had more time to think about this, if I actually wrote scripts for my videos, which most of the time, honestly, I don't, which is actually shocking if I think about who I was in high school. I was definitely, I don't want to say a poet, but a wordsmith. The Tortured Poets department, if that had come out when I was in high school, I don't have the words to describe how that would have changed my life. Anyway, the point is that if I had more time to really think about this, I would have had a lot more eloquent words for this video. But that's the other thing that I despise about social media, is how fast everything moves. I felt a lot of pressure to sit down and talk about this event, even though I didn't really have all of my thoughts completely processed. Stay beautiful. I'm gonna go listen to So High School now. Honestly, I have been feeling pretty emotional lately, but that's not why I have a red eye. I have a red eye because I'm a website designer,